everyone. Thank you so much for being here. Hey, Engin.
Yeah, hey,
Hi.
I'm happy to be here, always happy to be back in Tel Aviv, and I did my shawarma tour already, so if you have any place you say you have to try this, let me know, so I want to visit this one. And yeah, before we start, some disclaimer. Yes, it's going to be a talk about AI, and yes, we know things outdate very quickly, so maybe the moment you leave this room, things we presented here are already out to date, because this is the It's not working? Okay, then, because this is the reality I'm, at least me, living in. You know, every time when I open my social media in the morning, I check and I see that a Claude developer account posted something new, and it keeps on repeating. So, yeah, that's the new reality.
Try again. Yay!
Okay, now it's worked. Cool.
Good. Cool. So, again, we are here, not again, new. Okay, it's morning, I need to accustom to it as well. So, we are here to challenge the way people are going to use your IDPs going forward, because it is what it is, AI is here to stay. And we will talk about what you should do about it. But first of all, let me introduce my awesome co-speaker here. This is Engin Diri. He's a senior solutions architect at PlatforMa, and he really loves shawarma.
Yeah. Okay, and you saw the solutions architect written, but I learned now we are all forward deployed engineers, so maybe I need to update my slide to call myself also forward deployed engineer. And yeah, what should I say? It's Hila. You know, if I need to introduce Hila here in Tel Aviv, then yeah, there's something wrong. But nevertheless, she's the good soul and one of the co-organizers of DevOps Days Tel Aviv. Great event, tremendous event. And also part of the Tel Aviv community here. And I have to say there's an event planned on the 11th of June at the AWS floor 28. Great place, great food. And yeah, join this. And yeah, that's
awesome.
it. Hila.
Thank you. No, okay. Stop. Okay. Okay, so let's set the scene here, okay? So you built an IDP, okay? You probably went to KubeCon or saw it from afar. You saw backstage talk, because this is how IDPs all started. And you got inspired and you said, yes, we want the IDP for our organization as well. We want self-service. Cool. Then you created custom plugins. You have mapped all of your services and you have service catalog. You defined golden paths. And 6 months later, you have it all. You have an IDP that your developers can use. And you launched it. And everyone's excited. Woo! And yeah, we have self-service and we can do stuff on our own. And then AI came and crushed your IDP. It is what it is. So we need to address it. We need to keep ahead and going forward.
Okay, I don't know how to say Godzilla in Hebrew, but yeah, that's the thing. But to give some numbers on this one, so the last survey from Stack Overflow, yes, these people still exist. They come up here with the number and say 84% of the people they asked around, the developers they asked, I use developers all through the presentation as a term applicable for everyone, use or plan to use AI coding tools. Bam, 84, that's good. And I'm 100% sure this is even higher now, because things evolve very quickly. And additionally, to our pain for the IDP comes a survey our good friends at Port made recently, and they say half of the people, or every second person, distrust additionally the information your IDP is presenting them, because it's either outdated, the meta information, and so on. So, given this number, we can see now, and the trend currently is that the developers moved on. Because now they are in this kind of tools. They are using Codex, they're using Copilot CLI, Windsurf. Nobody is using Gemini, I just put it on the slide, okay? Gemini, and then having here Cursor. Pulumi, we have also an agent, Claude, of course. And this one is for Hila, the special one, Kiro.
Kiro, if you don't know Kiro, ID plus CLI, talk to me later.
Okay.
For Amazon. That's it.
Okay, and here comes the most important point, and I can speak from myself because, yeah, I will not go back. I'm not going back to caveman Stone Age time. So that's a fact, and this is something we have to manifest and say, okay, things are here and people get used to this, they are addicted to tokens and they will not come back.
it is what it is. AI changed how developers work. We all see it. We see it in the corridor when we talk with people. We see it on the street when we go and AI is everywhere, right? So Anthropic, and you can see it from how they operate, they ship features and a lot of features that intend to keep you in the AI tool. Beforehand, we had this notion to keep developers in the IDE. That's not true anymore. We have, or we need, this is what Anthropic basically means by all of those features, we need to keep the developer inside the AI tool. So they ship a lot of features that can help in the day-to-day, monitoring tools, ultra-plan, out-of-fix PRs, all intended to keep you inside the tool. And basically, the pace doesn't slow down. So it means that AI becomes the platform now. Your IDP, okay, but we have a new platform, which is the AI. So we need to make sure that we adapt to it. Yeah, the down.
Yeah. And yeah, that's us, low polygon, but we are like, oi, way, that's a tough thing going on. So now we see a shift here. A frontier model providing lab is now being attacking our platform, delivering, as Hila said, delivering features, creating something, building their own platform. So all the things you saw. So this is now something we have to tackle. And additionally, yes, we are in 2026. So we need now to see our IDP and say, okay, we need to work on our IDP, that our IDP is also able to speak AI, let me say like this. And here comes the point, this is not something we just made up. We see also here the North Star, Hila mentioned also at the beginning, the North Star of IDP frameworks here backstage. There's a lot of posts in the past where people are like, I'm not using backstage anymore and whatever, but still, backstage is one of the things everybody knows. It's a CNCF project and a lot of end users, a lot of enterprises adapted this. But we can see now with a feature, with the release 1.40, that Backstage, the maintainers of Backstage also silently shipped here an MCP in the background. So very important, very easy to add if you go with the new structure of the backend. So you just drop the MCP action. But this is a shift now. We can see now that the portal here stopped being here the first interface to say people go on the classical way. They understand, okay, we have a new user in place, which is going to be an agent. So agents can query now the backend and collect the data and prepare them.
And how does it look like? Basically like this. If you use the MCP Backstage, you ask in a natural language, show me the service catalog, and then you get back the service catalog. Probably you have more, but you get it in text. And the whole thing here is that it is in natural language. אבל רגע, שנייה, דקה, בוא נדבר רגע, wait. What about skills and CLIs, right? Because everyone is using skills, everyone is using the CLIs. The skills and CLIs is the new hot shit. And even my colleague says that maybe we should state it and say MCP is dead, and MCP overdoes context. And this is the thing. So do we still need a protocol like MCP if a skill can do it?
Okay. And just a reminder, Rega is our KPI between me and Hila. The amount of Regas in a minute I get from Hila, that's for me an indication that we are on a good track. So yes, that's a very good question, you know, because here comes another point, what I mentioned at the beginning with the disclaimer, things moving fast. So last year I would swear my everything, you know, my house and whatever, to say MCP is the thing. And a lot of people made the same bet and said, hey, MCP, everybody rushed to create an MCP. But now we learned, okay, MCP are maybe not the silver bullet for everything. And we also learned that agents can very well use CLIs, and if you throw in some skills on top of it, you can even create better results. So it's not about, hey, MCP versus, we say now, okay, it's MCP and skills, for example, because skills, they can also execute MCP tools your server is exposing. So now we have one side to say, okay, the whole skills, Cloud MD, Agent MD, you name it, you know, or your / commands, where you can create your workflows, you can run your runbooks, codify your project conventions. You have to see our repository at Pulumi is full with skills, and that helps us to steer the agent in a direction to say, okay, this is a specific task I want to do, and then you kick it off and give the agent the ability to fulfill this. And a good thing is, depending also on your structure, some people have a marketplace where people inside the company can add this code, add the skill to their repository or to their global agent folder. Or another thing is, you can put it next to the code and it lives next to the code. So we see all these mechanisms are here for local, it's yours and it's very fast.
So when do we need MCP servers? Basically, the reason platform teams still ship MCP servers is because they need to serve the entire organization. When you need to think in an org level and not only a user level, and you need to do standardization and governance, this is when you use MCP. So MCP helps you to bundle things that the skill cannot help with, like OAuth identity, audit trails, RBAC, etc. And the most important thing is that it outlives whoever shipped it. You don't need to tweak the skills anymore to accommodate what you need. You have MCP server with all the governance, with all the generic use cases and the way to use it, and that's it. So basically it means that you need to think about the fact that you are not the user, your organization is. So let's get back to what we saw before. Okay, we are convinced that we need to use the backstage of MCP because we need governance and we need to do it in an org level. Cool. But I'm reminding you, if it's your IDP, you wouldn't get 5 services back, you would get dozens and dozens. So you will get a wall of text, a lot of text. And I had a different talk about technical documentation that I said that nobody reads, okay? They scan the text. And it's still true to this day, and I think it will be worse and worse when we get older. So the thing here is that the agent is fine with all of this text. It can accommodate it, it can go over plenty of text. But, newsflash, we are not agents. And we need to have that in mind and maybe do something else.
Okay, let's build up the story, continue to say, okay, we have our portal. So we know some of the high-level building blocks is our data and our user interface. So, let's click, okay. So we can say one thing, okay, data is safe. That's fine. Let's keep the data layer apart and everything stays still valid. But here is the point. The user interface layer has now to be changed because, we have now an agent. We have agents being the new users of everything, or being able to want to communicate with your system. So this is the layer we're going to tackle now. Okay. So let's think for a second. That's to say, okay, how are we going to achieve this? So let's think.
Let's think.
And okay, everybody puts on your thinking face, or in a meeting, when you pretend you're listening to the meeting and you're like, and then you answer something. No, just be real. Okay.
Okay. No.
Sorry.
We overthought. Okay. So the thing here is that we are humans. We still need visualizations. When you go to the museum, you want to see the Mona Lisa. Do you go and read the plaque? This is the Mona. No, nobody reads the plaque. Everyone sees the painting. Everyone experiences it. Everyone benefits from the actual painting. Same goes for whatever we do when we work day to day. We need visualizations. It's not a preference. It's a cognitive requirement. So we still need to have visualizations. So this is our vision of how visualizations should look like.
Okay, so let's take the prompt from before. Again, can you show me the service catalog? And here comes the situation. The agent in the system I'm working on gives me a nice representation of the same questions we asked before, but using elements we as humans already know and handle this. We get the meta information using like a traffic light. You see notification service is degraded, and then I can also work here and trigger some actions.
Speaking of actions, this is how it can look like. The developer asks to deploy payment API to staging. Then they will actually see a progress bar, what's going on in the background. This could even be blinking, the yellow one that it is currently rolling out. So this is how the developer is in tune with what's going on and can say, okay, I have time or not, but it's really clear what's going on. So we saw the vision, right? We saw that we can have, or we want to have visualizations, and we said we have MCP of Backstage, and the agent can query the backend to get the data, but how do we get the visualizations? How can we try to do front-end in an agentic way. Can AI talk front-end too, Engin?
Yeah, and here we come. So now we can talk about MCP apps. That's one of the coolest implementation. I know people will say, yeah, the MCP protocol offers a lot of things. There's a lot of work in it. For me as an end user or somebody who wants to use this, MCP apps is a very cool addition because now we have the possibility to also define UI elements. We come into the detail. It was before called MCP UI. And let me give you a short introduction because that's very interesting, especially here for the people here in Tel Aviv. So everything started 9 months ago, plus minus around the May area 2025, as a side project here from Ido and Liat. There are local talents here from the Israeli community. And already in October, OpenAI picked it up and said, hey, that's a cool thing that people built there. Let's create an SDK around this. So October, an SDK gets released. And then one of the rare moments where both of them work together, in November, they already submitted a pull request for proposing a spec, extending the specification. And we can see, click, so in beginning this year, there are a lot of day zero partners who also support now MCP app in their applications. So Cloud Desktop, for example, VS Code and everything goes crazy. One thing to mention here, the two persons, and I hope that's still up to date because I looked it up, and they are working now at monday.com, so they get acqui-hired from them, which is very interesting here to see how things in the AI space move from a side project in 9 months' time to a new industry standard, and that's awesome. I mean, that's a really cool feature. So yeah, I mean that's your community, so yeah. You can be very proud.
Side key takeaway: if you have a dream and you want to build something, don't give it away. Do it. Okay, we are the startup nation after all. Cool. So let's talk about how MCP apps work. So we have 3 phases: request, render, and interact. So let's go over each one. So on the request phase, the developer asks a question that you, as a platform team, intends it to ask. Show me the catalog, deploy payments API. And then the LLM calls a tool, show catalog, and then the tool returns the data from the show catalog and a pointer to a UI resource. What is this UI resource? You, as a platform team, defines a pre-built HTML for actions and things you want to allow your developers to do. And then, once the LLM calls the tool, it gets the data and also sends the pointer to that pre-built HTML. And then, the render phase, the host, whatever host you're using, fetches the HTML from the pointer that it got. It renders the data in a sandboxed iframe, which basically means that anyone cannot maliciously take advantage of the HTML and do stuff in the background because it is sandboxed. And then you see the actual visualization of whatever you asked for inline in the conversation.
Yeah. And you can also interact now with it, you know, when you say, hey, I want to provide some kind of button, some interaction possibilities, or drill down into some details. You can provide this also. The UI calls here a specific tool called app only, and only the UI can do this, not your LLM reaching out and executing stuff. And then, yeah, you can execute some flows we saw before, deployments, and everything happens inline in the system you're already prompting and typing. So that's awesome. And an additional one.
Yeah, the sweet spot here is, we all know costs in LLMs are not a pain, but it's something that you need to address, or maybe it is a pain, you decide. So in that implementation, it is zero token cost because the UI ships as a resource, not as a generated token. So there are no additional costs when it comes to the LLMs in that implementation. So let's see a demo, right? We all love demos because, again, visualization, we need to see it in order to really grasp things. So let's see a demo here.
And I'm narrating this as Morgan Freeman. So show me my service catalog. That's the question we saw in the beginning. How does it look? Does the system runs against our surfer? Think. And bam, we get our service catalog with all the informations. In the back, it could be checked. We see some services are degraded, so let's drill down, for example, for the data pipeline and ask, like, hey, give me the details about the data pipeline. Because something I see, there's a red something. must be something wrong here. And then again, we see the details of this with the information you want to displace. And the LLM already starts to reason about it and says, hey, your SLO is breached. And yeah.
And let's say I want to deploy an AKS cluster because I want to allow my developers to do stuff as well. So the developers say, I want to deploy an AKS cluster. You as a platform team define the HTML to ask whatever it is, the details that the developers need to display, and then you can actually create a cluster. Same goes for creating a Lambda. They will see a form. Again, you define the HTML. You know exactly what information you need to provide. The developer provides it and create the Lambda. And let's say the developers say, I want to deploy an agent core. You can deploy an agent core. Agent core is a platform by AWS.
Since yesterday, she makes jokes about this story.
You see what I need to work with here? I mean, come on. I'm kidding.
Yeah.
So you cannot deploy an agent core. You can deploy an agent on agent core. But the developer is not well on the details, but still the LLM gets it. And then it shows the form of what you need to specify in order to deploy the agent. And then the developer can actually click on deploy agent and deploy it on a Amazon agent core. I think we need to think some more. I think so. What do you think?
I think also when, sorry to you are here to get fun, and then you have to think
and then
about
you need
this.
to think. I mean, come on.
I'm here to have fun and
yeah,
not to think.
Okay. Let's have fun then.
Okay.
We decided to have fun.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. So the thing is that MCP Apps works today, as you saw, for things you intended your users to do and ask for. But let's take it up a notch. Let's take it to the next level. What about the things that developers will ask that you didn't intend them to ask? Because we are human beings. We want different stuff. Maybe, let's say, you allow the developer to do a deployment of Payments API, but what if the developer wants to ask, is it safe to deploy Payments API? Do I have the latest version? Is dev in a right position, like all the health status checks are through, and I want to see that it is okay to deploy? We need to address those questions as well, the things that we didn't intentionally intended the user to do. We need to think about it and how we tackle it.
Okay, and we think that the future belongs to agentic UI. So that's a thing. Of course, we are on a platform conference, and we are DevOps engineers or platform engineers, so we always watch things here on a platform thing. But there's much, much more opportunity also for end users like my mother and all the things, you know, creating some UI which is controlled by agents. And here comes the point, let the agent do the heavy lifting also from, hey, this is my answer, and this is the way I would like that you present it. I don't care what you do, but this should be inside like an input box or a slider and so on, but I don't care how you handle this. This is my definition, and then also some data.
Presenting A to UI. It is basically the one step further after MCP Apps. So the agent describes the UI as structured data, and the host renders it natively. So it is basically a spec. So agent emits UI spec as JSON. The host renders it, whether you decide to use React, Swift UI, whatever. And it's important to mention that it is backed up by Google, big company. Then it means that they see a future for it. It was shipped early 2026. And just for us to emphasize what's the difference between spec A2UI and MCP Apps. So MCP Apps is the fact that you build the pages once, and then the agent just serves them inside the conversation. But A2UI is that you ask something, whatever it is. Your developer can ask literally anything, and then the agent builds the page on the fly. You don't pre-build the HTML, it just gets built on the fly. And why do we say it is a bet on the future? Because currently, no major host supports A2UI natively today. None of them renders A2UI specs just yet. But we think this is where the agentic UI is heading. We will see if we were right or wrong. So let's see an example. So let's say the developer or DevOps engineer said, I want to trigger an alert in an incident in PagerDuty because they created an alert in Prometheus and they want to test it out. Cool. What you see here, the UI that you see here, was created solely based on the user prompts, meaning that if the user asks something else, they will get something else. It's really based on what they ask for. And how does it look like? you have the components in this JSON that the LLM generated, plus the data, and then the framework in your front-end application, React, whatever, can render it inside the application.
Yeah. So there's one, just to add, if you want to check this out, there's one implementation called Copilot Kit, which supports this, also AGUI for the communication, but this is just homework for you folks. So let's recap, because we're running out of time also. So how are we going to shift now? We saw, yeah, portals were the place where people had to go, where our internal customers had to go, and now we say, okay, everybody is in their conversation flow in the tools, so we have to bring the portal now to the people, to the conversation with all the benefits a portal can bring. So let's have a look at the old school way. I mean, depends on the implementation of your portal. It's more or less steps. So open the page, log in, and then finding the service catalog, finding your service, doing the actions, triggering it, waiting that you get a notification. So that's now the legacy world. And in the new world, that could be something to say, okay, they are already working here in the AI, or maybe a non-technical person, a product owner, goes into it, triggers the action, and get, depending on the question, so with MCP App, a pre-built UI with all the informations, or with A2UI, some dynamic one, but still get, depending on the output, the right representation to work quickly. And is it?
Okay, so you take this and you decide to do something about your IDPs. Maybe developers already left your IDP. Maybe they are torn between the IDP and their favorite AI tool. So what can you do in order to take it to the next step and basically start shifting stuff from your IDP towards MCP apps? So first of all, you need to audit your portal, right? You need to find the right workflows in order the right candidates to migrate to MCP apps. What are the right candidates? Usually they're the ones that are safe to experiment with because they have a low traction, maybe the ones that need a new interface the most. You decide based on the current usage of the current workloads. And then you build the MCP server. You can start, as we showed here, with show me the service catalog, or deploy a new service. You start with that.
And then you can think about, okay, where does it make sense to ship also an MCP application on top of it? So you can say, okay, let's add a UI element, let's create the static HTML, and then everything we learned from platform engineering, treating everything as a product, attach it to get the usage, to track the data, to adoption and feedback with your customers. And last but not least, because I think that's a really, really cool feature coming up, also have a look for A2UI in the platform context, or maybe in your end product context, to say, okay, MCP apps are now, we see there are some limitations, everybody MCP, so maybe that's not the thing to go, but in the future, maybe A2UI or similar protocol will be a very cool solution for this highly dynamic world we are living in.
So basically, we want you to leave this talk with one notion, or maybe even a new term here. Until now, we had internal developer portal. Think of it now as IDC, internal developer conversations. Have the portal bring back to the developers where they are currently at. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
If you want the slides, you have the QR code for the slides and the demo. If you want to follow me or Engin, we post some stuff, cool stuff on LinkedIn as well. I see some phones, so I will keep on talking just for the phones to there. I will even move a bit, like this.
My LinkedIn is where my dad comes and checks how is my son doing, you know what I mean? That's the thing. I do stupid stuff on X, but serious business stuff on LinkedIn, so don't.
Yeah. Thank you, everyone. Enjoy the conference.